All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let Steph take it over from here. Thank you again so much for coming, everyone, and take up all the information.
All right, all right. It's nice to see you guys again on this lovely Friday evening. Definitely appreciate y'all supporting us on this journey. I think it's been about a year and a half now that we've been doing the parent meets. This is my second time around doing a meal prep presentation. There are some disclaimers that I want to put out there before I get started. So first and foremost, by no means am I a dietitian, nutritionist, a physician of any kind. Everything that I'm presenting to you is strictly coming from me just being a mom of 7. Things that work for me, things that interest me, and things that I thought were clever ideas, hacks, etc. So if you have any questions as far as like something a doctor would ask, allergies, food intolerance, things like that, definitely want to maybe write that down and ask somebody that's a little bit more educated in that area. So I just had to put that out there for you guys. So this is meal prep made easy by me. And my name, why can't I move? Hold on.
Are you able just to click on the screen? Represent mode? Yep.
There we go. All right. So I'm that parent that is exhausted from a long day of work, wondering what's for dinner, constantly thinking about what I may or may not have at home. And boom, I'm typically always going to the grocery store, guys. I kid you not, I probably live at Walmart, Giant Eagles, Aldi's every single day. And, it's kind of stressful at times simply because I have to still pick up my kids. I have to come home. And then it's like that cycle repeats. So dinner time becomes not so entertaining. It's not interesting. And it actually becomes stressful sometimes, And some of the challenging things that may be encountered is spending my first moments, bringing bags in the house. The next hours I'm cooking. Though I enjoy cooking, I do notice that it was not allowing me to manage my time. That could, even being time with my kids, my spouse, and then having little to no energy. So with that said, I knew that I needed to make some positive changes and get a handle on my management and how I was going to do my everyday duty, but make it a little bit easier for me. And then, Renee, how can I take you off the screen?
I don't even know you can.
Now I can see you guys in the chat. It's kind of cutting off my writing. Well, we'll move along. Okay, so why meal prep? Cooking meals is always healthier than going out to eat. Being a mom and making my own food, I can control the portion sizes as well as using healthy oils, seasonings that I want to use preparing my food. I noticed that being I've had some health issues, things that I read online, or even like simple TikTok videos that people share and they just educate you on things they learn. It made me really start getting into what I'm cooking my food in. And then if you're somebody that has high blood pressure, diabetes, you have to really start paying attention to those tags, and the labels and what's in your food. And meal prep also helps you avoid processed food. I'm guilty, y'all. As a mom, I am quick to buy some frozen nuggets, fries, pop them in the air fryer, the oven. But the more and more I educate myself as a mom and just simply trying to do better and make healthier decisions, I noticed that it's not good to feed my kids. And I actually enjoy making those same things from scratch and sneaking vegetables in it. We're going to talk about that a little later. Lastly, another reason why I meal prep is when life gets busy, having meals in the fridge makes it easier to grab and go. So instead of having to come home after work, I can just go in the fridge, grab a meal, heat it up, and keep it pushing. Same with having a large pan meal that I could put in the oven for my family. I just think grab and go when you are a parent makes it so much easier and it's not stressful. Now, before I move on to the next slide, is there anybody that has tried to meal prep, whether it was just meal prepping for yourself to make healthy decisions or for your family? If you have, you can just come off mute and just answer it.
I have.
How did that work for you?
I ain't gonna lie, it works better when I meal prep before instead of just cooking that same night, because I don't have to worry about everything getting done in one time and watching the kids at the same time.
Okay, do you meal prep for like a whole week, or is it like for a couple of days?
A couple meals at a time. You know what I mean? I do my vegetables. I have a vacuum sealer, and it works out. It stays longer. If I can't get to that meal, at least it's staying longer because of the vacuum sealer.
Okay, okay. I never had the vacuum sealer. I've been looking into it. I might have to invest in one of those. It's a good idea. All right, so some benefits of meal prepping. Better nourishment to our bodies. We are what we eat. You ever go to Wendy's, McDonald's, you eat a hamburger, some nuggets and fries, and then you're sleepy. What do we call it? Having the itis, right? When you eat a heavy meal, something less filled with grease, and it's just heavy. Fried foods do that for me the most. That's why I don't eat it often, because I just don't like the way it makes me feel. And then the rest of my day is sluggish. Another great benefit is time. Meal prep can reduce your cooking by 95% or more. And we're going to discuss that further. I'm going to explain and show you how. Next one is money. Budgeting better because you're not making purchases when you're hungry. I can't say it enough how many times I found myself DoorDashing food, Uber eating food. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, I know that it's easier for me to order 2 large pizzas for me and my kids than it is for me to go in the kitchen and cook. And it's not bad if you do it sometimes, but I was ridiculous. I probably, with DoorDash, I probably paid them rent. That's how much money. Like, it's like paying them rent monthly is how much I've DoorDash at some point. So that money that you spend on these fast foods could be money in your pocket to also just buy groceries in your house and meal prep. Some of the barriers that stops a lot of moms and dads from meal prepping is it's time consuming. I don't have time to prep meals. Like I said, it's easier to order out than it is to meal prep. But I feel like what I do to make it less tedious to me is I have a TV in my kitchen. I watch Judge Mathis, People's Court, Paternity Court, things that interest me. So while I'm prepping, cutting vegetables, seasoning meat, making sauces, it seemed like it's going fast because I'm entertaining myself. Or I blast Alexa. I think music and just zoning yourself out and getting into it helps with it being time consuming. Another barrier a lot of people say to me is they don't have the openness to new and unfamiliar foods. Like, I don't like kale. All right. So that also, when you're a picky eater, you don't like spinach, you don't like, certain people just don't like trying new things. Like, I don't and have never tried salmon. I'm not against it, but I think I have to try unfamiliar foods so that I can have an idea of how to eat healthier and kind of like explore my taste buds. Honestly, I'm so limited to this chicken and turkey and beef that I stay away from things that I actually might enjoy and try. And something like kale, it's with how you make it, your seasonings, what you mix it with. But I do find that that's definitely a barrier for people. And then, like I said, picky eaters at home. Oh, my kids, my partner will never eat that. You would be amazed on some of the things that I've done to make my kids eat things that they didn't even realize they were eating. Like turkey. I've started using ground turkey in my spaghetti. They can't tell. While they're eating it, I was like, I thought you guys didn't like turkey. They're like, we don't. And then they look down at their food and it's like, is there turkey in this? There is, but it's good. Season it the same way you would season something else. And they really can't tell. Unless you're an adult and you're a texture person, you might be able to kind of differ the meats that you're using. Another barrier, cravings, food plus mood. I really want a hamburger. I need to eat this pint of ice cream when I'm stressed out. Some people are binge eaters, or eating food is like a relationship thing for them when they're stressed out or having a mental breakdown or whatever it may be. Or that's something they like to do when they're laying in bed. Like tonight's a Friday night, I just want to order out, have snacks in my bed, watch movies, that they're not even being conscious of what they're fueling their body with. Another thing is your eating patterns. I always have my coffee with cream in the morning, usually have dessert after dinner. It's one of those, you are what you eat. The same way you need to have this particular thing in the morning and have to have dessert, you can replace those same things with healthier options. So we'll talk about those replacements later. The last thing is lack of resources and skills. I'm not a good cook. I don't know where to begin. I do kind of have a video clip that can show you some basic steps to start. And often people say they can't cook. Between YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok, and social media, you can learn to cook quite a few things. So it's just what you make it and what you care to have time for. And that goes into the time management when you're meal prepping. And then when you're starting a meal prep, notes for containers. And this is especially to prevent fires or things from exploding. I had a dish explode in my dishwasher because it wasn't dishwasher safe. So microwave safe items, dishwasher safe, leak proof, stackables to save space, and freezer safe containers. It's the best thing to do and go buy when you're starting to meal prep for your family. I also meant to put aluminum pans and the lids on here. I forgot, I apologize, but these are all good things that you need to start. Also, you're going to want to take inventory. So what does that mean? You have to go through your house. You want to go through your cabinets. I'm sorry, guys. And you want to kind of get an idea of what you already have, so you're not buying. Food's already expensive. So you don't want to buy triple the seasonings, triple the oil, rice, or whatever it is that you use. What you see on the screens is just kind of ideas, as if you had a checklist and was all like shopping in your house. So like, I already have this, I have that. And it's a good time to clean out your refrigerator and kind of get rid of things that also might not be healthy and honestly might be taking up space or went bad. All right. Now, here's a good tip, how to begin meal prepping. So when you look at this, you're going to look from the bottom up. So the first thing you're going to want to do is meal plan. So that's deciding what meals for the week you want. And you can get ideas off of Pinterest, videos, or you can just kind of think of the things that you like. So a question for you guys, whoever wants to answer, again, you could come off of mute, is when you think of meal planning, let's say you may not be somebody that does a grocery list. Let's say you're standing in a grocery store, but you want a meal plan or think of ideas. What are some of the first items or meals that come to mind to you that would be a nice portion or meal planning for your family?
I would say ground meat, or like anything like ground food, or like first thing I think of is to get the meat, the chicken, ground meat, ground turkey, stuff like that.
But do you have a plan for it? Do you have meals in mind, or you're just like, I'm just grabbing the basic things that I need without an actual idea of what dinner meals we're going to have?
Sometimes I mean, like sometimes I shop based on like for the week, and then sometimes we'll shop for the month. So like lately we've been shopping on like a day by day, week by week basis. So like if it's like, oh, we want tacos, and I'll go to the store with a plan as far as tacos. So lettuce, sour cream, tomatoes, cheese, stuff like that. But if I'm like food shopping for the month, then it's just like I'll buy a big thing of ground meat, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I know I can make hamburgers, tacos, etc.
Okay. Great idea. Great idea. Do you think that you spend more money and time going without an actual plan and multiple meals for maybe a week or two? And what I mean by that is, like, it's Monday, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to grab ground beef so I can make tacos and hamburgers. All right, it's Wednesday, I had that, I'm going to grab another container of maybe ground beef and some pork chops and mix the meals up within the day. Do you think that that takes away from your food budget more, as if you just had a plan and got everything at once for maybe at a 2-week span?
Yeah, I would say it definitely costs more to shop like I feel like it does, but it doesn't. Like sometimes when I shop by month, I'm like, okay, we have all these meats, but we don't have any sides. Like we don't have any like corn, any mashed potato, like potatoes, stuff like that. And then when we shop week by week and we have like meal by meal type of shopping, then I feel like I either forgot something or it's like, okay, I'm tired of eating this. What else can we make? Like if I buy a big thing of ground meat, okay, we made tacos, and then like my family doesn't eat leftovers like I do, but like my household doesn't. So if I make tacos and there's leftovers, that'll be like my lunch for work for the next day. But then we'll have like leftover ground meat, and it's like, what can I do with it? Because I know they're not going to eat it.
Interesting. Now I do have, because I don't want to jump slides, but I do have, I think a kind of a solution for that. Because my family isn't big on leftovers either, but you're gonna eat what I make, you know? But you can make a lot of different meals out of leftovers without them even knowing it's leftovers. So, but I'll save that slide though. All right, so we're moving up on the triangle. It says shop your pantry. We kind of touched base with that before. That's just basically going around and making sure that you're not overspending and triple buying, you know, what you already have. Okay, and then going grocery shopping, like me and her was just talking about. I feel like when you go shopping, you have to have a plan. I was finding before I started making a list and actually preparing meals, like I'm a visual person, and I try to get creative so that my family isn't getting tired of eating the same thing. Like if I make a big pot of spaghetti, no one wants to eat that more than 2 days. Like I could tell you that, like it's, even though it could probably stretch till 3, by that third day it's not going to happen because everybody's going to be pushing their plates to the side, right? So I try to go with a plan for everything that I buy and spend my money wisely so that I have money left over in my food budget to last me throughout the month. Okay, another thing is chopping and preparing your food. I think that is one of the barriers that people cannot stand doing. Like when they think about meal prep, they're like, I don't got time to be chopping all of this. I don't have time to be separating meat. But little do you know that energy that you're putting into doing that is saving you so much time throughout the week versus what I was struggling with was, oh my God, I just got off work. I have to wait to cook dinner because I have to wait for this pack of chicken to unthaw and or this ground beef to unthaw or the turkey or whatever it is that you have to do is adding more time and maybe even making your household eat later, if that makes sense to you. Another thing you're going to start doing once you chop and prepare your food is bake, cool, and store. But we're going to touch base on what that means in just a little bit. As mentioned in the prior slide, prep. Wash and chop all your ingredients right away. So when you come home from food shopping, one of the things you don't want to do when you're meal prepping is just throw everything in the refrigerator. Like, I'm gonna throw these bell peppers, I'm gonna throw the apples in the bottom of the refrigerator or trays. I'll get to it when I get to it. I find that when you buy in bulk of vegetables, onions, things like that, they start to go bad fast. So if you're meal prepping, by the time you get to them, especially if you're a parent, you might forget and they might already have molded, went bad, and are not good to use. And if you're meal prepping and you're freezing them, you want to make sure you get to that right away. And separating your fresh produce from meats helps to have color-coded cutting boards. And that's just like a cross contamination thing. That's not something you have to do, but I think it's a good idea. I definitely have 3 chopping boards for 3 different purposes so that I'm not constantly all over the place, and I have stations for things while I'm meal prepping. And then make it fun. Like I mentioned, play some upbeat music, sing. I said, wear a funky apron, like, you know, get into it, get the vibe. If you have kids, you have a partner, make it something that you bond with your family, make them a part of it. Hey, you're cutting the vegetables, the toddlers, you're washing the vegetables and fruits. My partner, you're grounding the meat, boiling the noodles, like make it a family thing that every Sunday we meal prep. This is what we do between this time and that time. Why is it? And then pack and store. Portion out from the larger batch into smaller containers that are for you to grab and go. So just anybody could come up. How many people go to the meat market? Like, I think there's one in the strip that I go to often where you buy meat in bulk. Does anybody go often or once a month?
I do. Yeah, strip district meats. That's normally where we go and get like the meat pack where they have like different variety of meats for like $100, $200.
Mm-hmm. So when you get that bulk of meat, you know how like the chicken, it comes in that big bag or a big box, and it's just, oh, you have to separate it. The ground beef is normally pretty bulky too. Do you think, or are you okay, or do you have a routine with packing it, storing it in freezer bags and containers, or do you think it's just way too time consuming for you?
When we first started going, we definitely used to do that. Like, especially with the 5-pound bags of like ground meat and chicken, because you have to thaw it out and it takes longer to thaw because the bag is so big. So you definitely have to portion it. But that's like where I mess up most of the time because I don't know how big of a portion to separate. Like, should I make it separate these into 4 patties, separate this into like a taco night type of meal. Like I'm bad at doing stuff like that. So I just kind of separate like half and half. Or I'll do like 4, like cut it into 4s as far as the 5-pound bag goes. So it just kind of depends on your family size, how you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That, like, we're a family of 9, so I'm getting like the most mega box that I could possibly get, right? There was a time where I was so lazy, I was just throwing the whole the box of wings in the deep freezer. I want thaw to separate it later. I was a mess, y'all, and I'm a realist, so I'm not going to come on here and act like I had everything in order. Like this was a build up. This was a build up to get to the point of I'm buying those Amazon containers. I keep seeing those stackable trays. I'm going to start going to Sam's Club, making sure I already have the stuff in my house so it's not stressful, like the triple, big freezer bags. The mason jars is something I recently started. Like you see in the corner, I love the idea of putting a salad in there upside down and taking it to work. Because that right there, having that grab and go already packed in the refrigerator stops me from door dashing and ordering things that are unhealthy. Because the only thing I have to do is flip the jar upside down on the plate, and the salad is how I would have proportioned it on my plate, and it's done. Go ahead, Natasha.
I didn't have a question, but I just wanted to, follow in with a statement that you made when you said that it was a build up for you, that you started from somewhere, you didn't get to this point. That's what my neighbor, she has 3 children, and I only had 1 child for 12 years. And her meal prep was on a way smaller scale for her, just having 2 children. She gave me an idea as far as meal prepping. And, when the kids get a little older, they're 10, 11, 12 years old, and they really want a hot dog right after school or a can of ravioli, something really quick, which she showed me to do with the mason jar. On Saturday, Sunday, she'll make 2 sauces, a spaghetti sauce or, marinara of some sort, and Alfredo sauce. So they have the option and she would boil noodles and have the noodles after being cooled in a Ziploc bag. And after school, they can, get a couple noodles and put a half a cup of sauce on it and put it in the microwave. And just starting on that scale on a lower level, she said from there, she, built her way up to like actual meals, but just to start somewhere, because I'm just like, that sounds overwhelming what you're saying. Because you're speaking from a point of view from like a family and 9, I'm just like, I got 1 kid that eats and a baby and a 1-year-old that barely just likes chicken nuggets, but everyone can have a starting point.
Yes. And that's what it is. Some people jump into this and they go too hard, too fast, and then they don't like it. So
Yeah, right.
it becomes a barrier. It's like, oh, when they go to the store, it's all fun and games while you're putting all that stuff in the cart, right? Yeah, this look good. I'm gonna make this meal. When you unpack that at home and your counters and everything is looking crazy, you're exhausted just looking at it. You're like, I'm not doing all that. You know what I mean? And again, I did that, and I had to start somewhere to get up to the build up because I'm not doing that. And that's an awesome idea with the mason jars, the bag of noodles, put them in the fridge, because all 7 of these kids be acting like they ain't eat all day. When they come home from school and daycare, it's to the point I went and bought a cart, like a little push cart, like that you would have like toys in at a daycare center. And I started going to Sam's Club buying bulk. So I put snack bags together. And then I have a back refrigerator that I put snack bags in. So you have cheese sticks, you could get a yogurt. I have cut up fruit in a big old mixing bowl. You could get a scoop of that. And or you could go on the shelf and you could get chips or a Huggy or whatever's in there is what is the snack for today. Like that's what it is. You either get something out the refrigerator, you get something off the shelf. So those are my grab and goes because I don't think I trust my kids to heat up anything. I don't know yet. I'm such a scaredy cat, but I love that idea. I might do it for the teenagers, but they burnt the bagel in the microwave, and I'm just like, can you imagine them boiling some noodles or like I don't know, but I love that idea. All right, so this is going to be a short little video. It's 6 easy steps, a beginner's guide to meal planning. If you have any questions, let me know. This is something I'm heavy on YouTube, TikTok, stuff like this. This was interesting to me. And while there might be some things you don't agree with, things you don't eat would do different, that's fine. This is just a beginner guide.
Hello everyone out there, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to get started with meal planning in 6 simple steps. And this video is for you if you are new to the world of meal planning. If you're a bit of a beginner, we're going to go over the basics. Meal planning is something that I've been doing a lot more lately, and it just helps to create so much more ease in the kitchen and around cooking. And meal planning is basically just planning your meals for the week and grocery shopping based on the ingredients that you need for those meals. In a lot of cases, meal planning can help you to save money, can help you to save time, less stress around cooking. So let's dive in. If you are new here, my name is Megan. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, and I am so happy to have you here. If you're not new, then hello again, and let's get started. Step number 1 is to make a master list of all of your favorite recipes, the ones that you love, the ones that your family loves, that you know how to cook. You can either do this on a piece of paper or like a notebook. That's usually how I do this. I have a little notebook that I use. You can do this on your computer, on your phone, whatever works for you. This is going to really help to make the meal planning process, which we'll get to in a moment, a lot easier because you can refer to that master list and you can always add to this list. In fact, it's something that I encourage you to do is to add to this list anytime you try a new recipe that you really like. Write that down as one of the meals that you really enjoy and that you would definitely make again and again, so that when you are doing your meal planning, it's not the same thing every single week. And if you need some inspiration for maybe learning some new recipes, then there's tons of different books and blogs that are great. I'll leave some of my favorites linked below. It's also really helpful here to really loosely write down some of your favorite breakfasts, some snack ideas, maybe even some lunch ideas, just so that you will have the ingredients for those throughout the week. Now, I am very loose about this. You just need some general ideas here, especially when it comes to lunch. You can often use leftovers for your lunches, even sometimes with breakfast. But just having a general little idea of some of your favorite snacks and breakfast recipes can be great to have kind of that ongoing list of. Step number 2 is to choose the day of the week that you will be doing your grocery shopping on. So for most of us, I think this tends to be on the weekends, on a Saturday or a Sunday. But if there's another day of the week that just works really well for you, then kind of make that your grocery shopping day of the week. And that way you kind of have that routine and it's consistent for you each week. You really just want to do your grocery shopping on a day when you're not rushed, when you have the time to head out and kind of do your shopping. Step number 3 is to take a look at your calendar and just see if you have anything upcoming in the week ahead. Are there any particular activities, anything that you have planned, just so that you know for when you are doing your meal planning, because sometimes things come up and we don't necessarily, need to be cooking every single night of the week, which is something that I want to mention here too, that you don't necessarily have to be like, oh, I have to, cook 7 days a week. This is what my meal planning life is going to look like. It might definitely, obviously cooking homemade as much as possible is one of the best things that we can do for our health. But you also want to have some wiggle room. Sometimes you might have a day or two of the week where it doesn't really work with your schedule that you are cooking from home that night. For example, Sean and I like to have either Friday or Saturday, sometimes once, even twice a week, where we like to order in, or we will check out one of our local restaurants. It's something that we really enjoy doing, actually. So just take a look at your schedule, see what's coming up for the week ahead so that you can kind of meal plan around that. Step number 4 is to write out your meals. So this is the actual meal planning part here, where you are actually planning out the meals that you're going to eat for the week. I usually do this on a Saturday morning when I'm like drinking my morning tea. Sean and I will sit down and we will brainstorm. You're going to want to pull out that master list of your favorite recipes and refer to it. And this is the fun part. You can kind of think, oh, what are some things that I want to cook this week? And write them down, maybe just 5 meals for that week. Again, this will depend a little bit on what your calendar is looking like and your lifestyle. But what I will say here is it can be really helpful to write down 1 extra meal just so that you have some extra ingredients on hand for if you want to switch things up in the week, that's totally fine too. So some examples might be a veggie stir fry, maybe salmon with some veggies and a potato salad, a bean soup, or some kind of stew. Try and include, I would say, at least 1 meals that can make some really great leftovers. So a type of meal that tends to make quite a lot can be really useful for using as leftovers for lunch, or taking with you the next day, or even eating again for dinner on a different day. Definitely a good thing to do, makes life a lot easier as well. And remember that these meals don't necessarily have to be set on specific days. You can, if you want to be really structured and regimented, you can have specific meals for specific days, like Monday to Friday, or on the weekends as well, but you don't have to. You can, what I usually do is I just write down like numbers 1 to 7 or numbers 1 to 5. And I just write down the meal ideas, and then I just kind of keep it rough like that. Step number 5 is to write out your grocery list. So this is the list that you will be writing based on those meals that you have written down. And what are the ingredients that you need for them? It might sound tedious or like it would take a long time, but it really doesn't. It doesn't take long at all. Like I said, this is what I do on a Saturday morning. And I just keep referring back to, what does this recipe need? What does this recipe need? Make sure though that as you go along, you check your fridge and pantry for what you may already have on hand. Something that's really helpful here is to organize your grocery list based on the different sections of the grocery store, so that when you are at the grocery store, you're better able to navigate the store instead of going from the produce section to one of the inner aisles and then the eggs and then back to the produce section, because you've written out just one long list of the ingredients that you need. You can also write down what you need from like specific stores if you need to go to a couple different stores. And step number 6 is to get started with your meals that you have planned out for the week. So what you want to do here is to keep your meal plan that you have written out for the week, all of those meals that you are planning on cooking, keep it handy, post it on your fridge, or keep it on a shelf somewhere in your kitchen, or just where it's easily visible, so that you can refer to it throughout the week, so that you know what you are making for each night, because you're not necessarily going to memorize what you are making for every meal that week. So just have that list kind of there with you through the week also, so that you can switch things up if you want to. Another thing that you can do here is that when you come home from the grocery store, you're all stocked up. If you want, you could take 30 to 60 minutes to prep a couple of those items, depending on what it is that you have purchased. You don't have to do this. It's definitely optional. Sometimes I like to do this with bunches of kale or melon, where I will just prep the kale, kind of remove the tough stems, chop it up, put it in a container so that it's ready to go for the week. So there's certain foods where this can be kind of helpful to do. You don't have to, but it can come in handy so that you're even more prepared for the week ahead. And that is it. By the time that your designated grocery shopping day approaches again, you should be low on groceries, and the cycle kind of restarts. And meal planning helps so much with just cooking throughout the week in general. And like I mentioned, saving time. You don't have to head to the store to pick up, bits and bobs as you go. It's just everything's there ready for you. Helps to reduce waste as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video helpful and you took a few pointers, and you can hopefully follow through the steps that I listed in this video. But I would love to hear from you if you do meal planning. I would love to hear from you. How do you do it? What's kind of your method? If you have any other tips to share, I would love to hear from you. Leave them in the comment section below, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.
All right. why is this not letting me move on? All right, so that was one of the very first videos that I watched a while back in reference to meal prepping, because again, one of the biggest barriers for me was just not having a starting point. So though she kind of repeated a lot of things that we have already kind of discussed and went over, I still like the video and just wanted to share what worked for me when I got started. So here on this slide is some tips, like using an app. I found that starting off using like the grocery hacks worked, a sheet of paper, can too, and printable templates online. I love doing that because it's already outlined, it's already sectioned, I can stay in order. But that's your preference on what you would like to do. Another thing, if you have children, don't forget the snacks. Sometimes we're so busy like trying to just make sure we're doing the bigger meals, the bigger portions, that we forget the snacks. And you know our kids want some snacks. That becomes the after daycare, after school thing. I'm hungry. You can just slide them something while you get dinner started. Don't feel the need to have a different meal for every single block. Oatmeal 3 times a week or more, it's okay. So that's when I said, like, if I make a big pot of spaghetti and that's what we're having, it's okay to have it for 2 days. 3 days in my household isn't going to work because, you know, but you don't have to have this different idea every single day, and it's something that's just going to stress you out. It's just food, you know, cook it, flip it, twist it, do what you got to do. Don't stress over it. And then once you have your meal ideas, take a look at what you already have, as discussed before, because we're going to save some money. Make sure you have the shopping list. Make sure you have your containers, and post your meals so your family can see on a whiteboard, a little chalkboard in the kitchen, and get fancy. I do that for kicks and giggles because I like them to know, because the first thing out of my younger kids' mouth is, what are we eating? What do we have for dinner? And I used to be like, we're having food. That's what we're having, food, because I got tired of answering the question. So something visual that they can see, I feel like it just works. Somebody's trying to get in. Next, picky eaters at home. So there's a lot of benefits to include when you have little ones in your meal preparation routine. So teaching life skills, learning how to work with you in steps and tasks, increasing openness to trying new foods. So remember, we talked about like those barriers, like, oh, I don't want to try this because of how it looked. Sometimes people are also like a texture person, especially our toddlers. So I think letting them get involved in them cooking something, they're going to want to try it because they made it. All right. And then teach that meals are special, tips and rules to follow for picky eaters that don't have to like and do not have to try. Talk about colors and shapes and textures. Your kids learn your reactions, make mealtime a positive experience. So don't make it negative. Don't yell if they don't want to try something. And like I said, the biggest tip and trick for me was making them feel like they made it. They cooked this. You have to eat what you're trying. So that's definitely a go-to. So 6 days of homemade meals and one restaurant outing via meal planning, of course, is better than 5 days of restaurants and fast food and 2 days, of mealtime together via no plan at all. So that kind of goes back into when you think about the budget you have for your food, when you think about the habits that you have and what you're trying to like have in your household, everybody enjoys a home cooked meal. Restaurants are nice, but I think if you limit it and you have more available to grab and go, more meals to cook, you're going to realize you have more money to do other things that might not consist of fast food, or in my case, like DoorDash. And then, being a parent means you have a lot to manage, but planning ahead of time can make it all less overwhelming. So that goes into our meal planning, exploring different things, and writing it down. This next clip is monthly toddler meal prep. So a lot of the stuff you're going to see, I'm sharing with you also because I agree with it and I've tried it. From the muffins to the overnight oats and different things like that. Before we jump into this clip, did anybody have any questions about the prior video that we just watched and is starting to get into the meal prepping? Or did you have any ideas that work for you that you wanted to share? If you do, you could come off mute.
Or feel free to put in the chat.
That too. I can't see the chat, but she can. All right. So I'm gonna jump into this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Juliet and this is my channel Mama Tried. Today it's going to be such a fun video because I'm sharing with you my monthly toddler meal prep. I'm going to be doing about 14, 15 different recipes here, so there's going to be a lot to choose from. These are going to pretty much all be freezer meals, so you can put them in the freezer, take them out, thaw them, microwave them, whatever you need to do, so that way your babies can eat happy, healthy, and you're not just feeding them a bunch of processed foods. I know it seems like it's a lot of work, but to me, it's worth it. Let's get started. I decided to start off with breakfast casserole because that's what we were having that morning for breakfast. So I'm just spraying my pan and adding in some maple sausage. That is a pound. And then I'm cooking that up over the stove as I add in my other ingredients on the side because I love to manage my time properly. So I've got 8 eggs that I'm adding in there. And for whatever reason, when I film, I always get eggshells in there and have to get them out. If I'm not filming, it doesn't happen. So I don't know why that happens. But anyway, so I'm adding all of them in there and cooking up the sausage at the same time. And then I'm going to add a tiny bit of milk. I don't really measure anything, so I'm sorry, you guys, I just added in there. And then I'm tearing up some spinach and adding it in there as well. Luxie doesn't seem to mind no matter how much spinach I put in there. So I try to put as much as I can so we can get her greens in first thing in the morning. And so I'm just literally adding and adding and adding, but it does shrink a lot and you don't even really notice that it's in there. I don't anyways. Then I'm adding in some Italian seasoning. Once again, no measurements. I just do what I feel. Some mustard, some Worcestershire sauce, and mixing it up really, really well. Then I'm going to add in some cheese. I usually shred my own cheese, but this time I had a bag left over. So that's about 1.5 cups, maybe 2 cups of cheese. Then I added in my sausage and stirred it up really good. I used to do my breakfast casserole like an actual casserole, but then I started doing it as like breakfast muffins. And it's so much better because they're pre-portioned and they freeze really easy this way. And one is a perfect portion size for Luxie. So if I don't eat any of these, which I'm going to because I love this too, Luxie's got plenty of breakfast. So here I'm just making some Chick-fil-A copycat nuggets and they turned out amazing. 10 out of 10 recommend these. So I just cut about 3 pounds of chicken tenders into bite-sized pieces and took all the nasty parts of the chicken off. And then I used some leftover Clausen dill pickle juice and strained it over it because it has like garlic and seasonings in it. So I did that and put it in the fridge for about 6 hours. I will be adding all of the links to all of these recipes in the description for you guys. There are a couple in here that are my recipes, and so I'm just going to do my best to explain everything. And some of these recipes I do different things with too. So I add in my own ingredients, like if it's flour, regular flour, sometimes I'll do almond flour. So I don't always follow the recipe like perfectly, but I'm going to do my best to explain to you guys what all I'm doing. Here, I'm just placing all of those little muffins on a baking rack so they can flash freeze. So I stick them in the freezer for about 20 minutes, and this makes it where they don't stick together if I put them in the same container. While those were in the freezer, I went ahead and got started on the mini muffins. So I'm just adding 3 bananas into a bowl and smushing them up with a fork until they're pretty liquidy. And then I added some coconut oil. It was 3 tablespoons. So I just melted it in the microwave for just a few seconds. Then I just stirred in the coconut oil and then I added my unsweetened applesauce and milk in there and stirred it up well again, and vanilla extract, and then my eggs. And I just made sure that I stirred everything really, really well. I use baking soda all the time. That's why I bought this gigantic box and I put it in another container. So don't worry about the way that I opened it. I know it looks crazy. Then I added in some almond flour. I think this is where I substituted. I'm not positive, but I usually do if I can. I always make sure to spray my pans really well so nothing sticks because that just makes a bad day in the kitchen. So I'm adding a tablespoon to put the mixture inside the muffin tins, and then I just popped it in the oven. I swear these are really simple to me. And then while that's in the oven, I went ahead and made the yogurt bark. Now, if I could go back and do this again, I would have added in honey with the Greek yogurt, or something to sweeten it up because it was just like not very sweet. Luxie loves it just because she's teething, but to me, it's just not very sweet. It doesn't taste very good. But the fruit does bring some sweetness, but not really if it's super frozen. So just a heads up there. I would add something to sweeten it up a little bit, whether it be a little bit of stevia or honey or agave or whatever. Then these are finally done flash freezing. So I'm just putting them in some freezer safe containers. So that way I can just thaw them out or put them in the microwave later. This is how the muffins turned out. They are so tiny and cute and perfect for little hands. I really feel like these are a great on-the-go snack or breakfast also. One of my favorite cooking gadgets is totally my Apple Watch. I love being able to say, set a timer for blah, 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 and it just listens to me. It's like my little cooking servant. I love it. Here, I'm doing probably my least favorite thing, which is peeling apples and cutting them up. Yes, I always peel everything. I hate the skin on stuff. I don't know how people eat things with skin.
Hey guys, so this video is a little long. It's 18 minutes and it is great. She gives a lot of ideas, but for timing purposes, I am going to move past this. If somebody's interested in seeing the rest of the video, I could definitely send it to you. But yeah, we're going to just move on to the next slide just for time reasons. I don't want to, keep y'all longer than y'all want to be here.
Yes, I was gonna say we could drop the video in the chat later too.
Yes. So, because I wanted to move on and make sure that I got some different meal ideas. And one of my favorites that I personally do every time I go food shopping is freezer meals. It's easy to make and it's simple ingredients like taco bowls, beef and broccoli, soups, and more. However, and this is strictly from just learning, like you're going to make errors, everything's not going to be perfect, but certain foods don't freeze well. So raw vegetables, cabbage, celery, cucumbers, lettuce, radishes, and there's more to that. They don't always thaw out and taste like how you want. So I don't recommend that. Plain cooked pasta, freezing that's not always the best. I think it would be best to already have the noodles boiled closer to the day that you know that you're going to unthaw your freezer meal. Like if you were freezing chicken Alfredo sauce, then you might want to have those noodles cooked, or just make that the only thing that you have to technically cook for that day. Don't recommend freezing cooked egg whites. I mean, that I don't recommend that either. Milk baked sauces, cheese and crumb toppings, mayonnaise, salad dressing, and fried foods. Those are just things that don't always freeze well because they're definitely not going to taste how they taste before you froze them. So this video, I believe, is 6 minutes. Again, for timing purposes, I think I'm gonna, Monet, if that's cool, I'd rather drop this link as well. Unless you guys want to watch it. I really want to say it's about 6 minutes long. It's consists of her showing different meals that could be prepped and using aluminum pans. And it's just kind of, it's 3 meals in under 30 minutes. I'll let you guys decide if you want to watch that clip or if you want to drop it. You could come off of mute and kind of decide on what you would want to do.
Or you can raise your hand if you want to watch.
Yeah. And I can't see.
We have one hand raised so far. Anyone else interested?
Or would you rather it be dropped in the chat as a link?
You could also type in the chat. You're not comfortable with coming off mute. Or can't come off mute. Okay, everybody wants to go ahead and drop the link. So we'll go ahead and move on.
Right. Give me a second.
Hello, everybody.
All right. So we'll drop that link. So here's some more meal ideas that's on the go. It could be the breakfast egg muffins, as we saw the other lady make, breakfast burritos, overnight oats, lunch, glazed chicken, potatoes and green beans. And dinner, we have roasted chicken, sweet potatoes and broccoli. You can literally take any protein and make it healthy, any protein. So if you want it, you can make taco bowls, you can make your salads that consist of grilled or baked chicken on top of it. Anything that you want, that you have a taste for, you can make healthy. Like there's always an alternative or a different way that you can make it. Now this right here, I will play. I thought this was an awesome hack. It's something that I didn't even know and think of at any time. Up until recently, I seen it on TikTok. I might not play the whole thing because the last video is really short.
Steph,
Brief. I really want your questions, huh?
I was gonna say some people said in the chat they can't hear you. If you could just speak up just a little bit, because your voice is a little soft. Like, you know,
Can you hear me now? Do I sound louder?
yeah, yeah, much
All
louder.
right. All right.
I am so super excited. So instead of meal prepping ourselves today, we ordered catering and we wanted to see if that works as a quicker alternative for meal prepping whenever we don't really have the time or whenever we're busy. And we want to see if price wise, maybe that can even save us a little bit of money. So we'll see. The first step is, of course, placing your catering order, and Chipotle makes this super easy. You just simply head to their website, click on catering, and then select the kind of orders or meals that you want. We chose to go with the single option, which they say starts at $8.75 per person. And then you simply find your location and pick your pickup date. Oftentimes it's as early as the next day, so you can do this pretty last minute. And you just simply go through and you choose 2 bases, you choose 1 protein, and then you have the option to choose 2 toppings and 2 salsas, as well as either tacos or tortillas. And that is already it. After taxes, our total came out to $108.07. And then the next day we went to go pick it up. We scheduled our pickup for a Saturday, so our Chipotle was packed. However, because we placed this order ahead of time, it took us less than 5 minutes to get in and out. This is 1 serving. Let's see. Exactly 3 hours. Since this was my first time using Chipotle as meal prep, I did want to log the food to see what the macros would be. And so each meal had 4 ounces of black beans, 4 ounces of chicken, 3 ounces of rice, and then 3.5 ounces of pico, which gave us a meal that had a total of 460 calories, 42 grams of protein, 51 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of fat. And I have to say, I wouldn't have been able to put better macros or to put together a meal with better macros if I was prepping myself. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10. Plus I had 111. Lastly, all there is left to do is to put up your meals and to start cleaning up. All in all, this took us less than an hour from pickup to coming home, measuring out all the meals, and then putting them up. And I will see you guys in the future.
All right. Because of time purposes, I'm fast forward to that. But I did want to ask a question. What do you guys think about that? I personally never thought of doing that. Ordering a catering of maybe something healthy to use for meal prep where it's already cooked, it's already done. I just put it in meal containers. What do you guys think? Do you think that's something that you would try?
Yes.
Yeah, it just makes sense, especially Chipotle. I never would have thought of that.
I would try Chipotle. I just feel like for the amount of food that they got, that was actually a good deal, only 108. And then I think with picky families, it'll be harder because you can only get, I think she said 2 meats. And, you know, going back and forth, you know, kids get tired of one day they eat chicken, one day they don't, especially with toddlers, my toddlers. So I think that's the hard part for me. But other than that, that was a pretty good hack. Oh yeah, the rice too. I feel like rice is a hit or miss for toddlers as well.
Yeah, it gotta be cooked right. They are picky. They're picky. Definitely agree. And 108 is actually probably cheaper than what I would spend to do meal prep for 2 weeks. Okay, you know what I mean? That was just mind blowing to me when I saw it. All right, so some Dollar Tree supplies when you're meal prepping. This is like if you want the ultra budget, you know, but you just want some tools. These are cheap meal prep tools for beginners to just save some money. So you could get like lunch containers, sauce containers, snack containers, some jars, measuring cups, mixing bowls, you name it, they have it. And it's probably cheaper, obviously, than going to Walmart or some of the bigger stores to get some of the supplies you need. So don't feel like you have to have the most top-notch things that exist to meal prep and get things done for your family. Dollar Tree is definitely starting to have some good finds. Now, this video I'm about to play is really quick, but this is something I really had wanted to see how you guys felt, because it was an eye opener to me. And the past 2 months, I've experienced a lot of different health issues and things like that. So it was an eye opener to me on what I'm putting in my body, what I'm feeding my kids, and how the stores are starting to be set up. So I would really appreciate some participation with this, because I really just want to see where your thoughts are.
They're not after us. They're after your kids. Your kids aren't this tall. Your kids are this tall. So when they market the garbage, your kids don't know that. Adult height, child height. Kids don't know what grain-free cereal is, but they know who Mickey Mouse and Disney stars are. Because where's Daddy Shark Doo-Doo? Oh, there's Baby Shark Doo-Doo. But I don't see no Spider-Man or Minions. Oh, but they're there. And humans are attracted to colorful things. It means nutritional density. Nothing says nutritional density like this. Just think statistically. Well, who's about this tall that follows that person? Kids. Just in case you're wondering, for marketing, see all crappy brands and then social media influencers, colorful, well-known brands. Because I literally just watched a kid touch these right here, this one and that one. And then their head was just beaming on this. Because imagine a raging, screaming kid that wants ice cream because, well, look at that. And we're the only ones that can stop any of this, because look up to a better future in a world where, oh, peanut butter, it's supposed to have oil. Because if it doesn't, hydrogenated, which is a double bond oil, which is extremely hard for your body to break down. And the word bread and keto marketing. If coffee is just coffee, why is there like 9,574 different brands? And sometimes it's just Keller for all the way down. And then not to mention the most addictive thing in the world, candy. There is no age limit on this. And we all know way too many adults are addicted to Flamin' Hot Cheetos. But part of No Child Left Behind is so can your kids too. And don't forget pallet after pallet after pap after pap and pap. So check out a research paper called Neuroprogression, the Hidden Mechanics of, well, I suffered from a lot of things that would be considered a mental illness growing up and went to therapy for. You'll see in this research paper that it starts to talk about BDNF being mimicked in mental health medications. 70% of people that are taking medications don't actually see benefits in their overall mental health. So if we can put a lot of sugar in foods, no fiber, raise the human's glucose levels circulating in their blood, we can lower their brain-derived neurotrophin factor. And after we lower the brain-derived neurotrophin factor, many people will start to develop mental illnesses. And through the development of these mental illnesses, they will seek professional guidance. And the professional guidance will supply the pills. The pills won't work. So then we'll continue to repeat the cycle by teaching people to lower their brain-derived neurotrophin factor and then have them go get pills. I mean, that's not a genius system to keep people sick. And make a stack, all for just money.
All right, so as I had stated before, when I had jumped on here to present my PowerPoint, by no means am I a dietitian, a nutritionist, a doctor, any type of physician. This is simply opinionated and things that were interesting to me and things that work for me, etc. when I saw that video and then going into the store a couple of days later, I was like, wow, when you look at the setup and you think about it, I never thought about that. And often I'm taking my toddlers, and a lot of the things he's pointing at that they want, they always go for it. Because again, they're not looking above, they're definitely looking at their level, what's touchable and what's grabbable. So when he said that, when you're thinking about what you're putting in your body, what's in it, your health, people like, and for our age bracket, like I'm in my 30s, starting to see more people dying and getting sick from different cancers, diabetes and things. And to think that we can change that by simply paying attention to what we're feeding, like fueling our body with, and what our kids are eating. So I did a 360 in my household while I was on my leave of absence from work. And I started incorporating more fruit, more vegetables, organic things, natural things. And they hate it, but I don't buy chips in my household anymore. I'm not saying we're never going to eat them because, but I'm saying we are trying to guide our children into making better decisions. But with everything that was said in that video, I would like your opinion, how you felt about it, what you think, disagree with it, agree with it. I would just want to hear some opinions. You could come off mute or raise your hand or put it in the chat.
And just to read some things that were in the chat, because I know you said you can't see it, Steph. Sherelle said we are Liberty color additives in our home and sugar cereal. Candace said reading ingredients is really important. If I can't read it, I'm less likely to buy it. Marquila said the color red was exposed years ago for being 100% unnecessary and unhealthy. Candace said marketing is just crazy. And it's iPhone user said it's sad that we market to kids so young. And that is so true. All of the comments are true. Sammy has her hand up. Go ahead, Sammy.
I do not like taking my kids into the store, because if I do take the kids in the store and they're more likely just keep on wanting to go to things that are not healthier. I do buy chips and things like that, but those mostly are like a nighttime snack, like for like me and their dad. Like when it comes to like fruit snacks and everything, they are always likely to go for the things like that, or anything that's not healthy. The candy, like when you're checking out, ooh, I want this, I want that, I want that. And it's like, and it gets frustrating when you have your kids in the store and they do. And I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old that live with me. And that's the first thing they look at. They don't look at fruits or vegetables. They don't look at none of that. They go right to the snacks, like how Walmart has all their baked goods set up right there at the door. As soon as you walk in the door, there's all that stuff sitting there. Or they have that, like, just like the dude showed, those aisles of pallets going down the lane, going between the clothes and the food. It's literally like that. And it gets frustrating because all they see is cupcakes, cakes, everything like that. They don't see nothing healthy, and they don't look at that stuff.
Yeah, and you're right. And another thing that I didn't make it a slide, I figured I would just say to you guys is we are also doing what was like a generational thing that was taught to us. Like you cook your greens this way, you make your chicken this way, you use all this butter and salt and seasonings, and you're still, if it ain't, if you're not sneezing, it ain't seasoned. Like I know we all heard that, right? So we pow all these things on our meats and vegetables to the point sometimes the vegetables ain't even healthy anymore by the time we got done buttering it up. But we cook and eat how we were taught and raised to eat. So it's up to us to understand what we're eating, what's good, what's bad, and what's in it. And I'm telling you, like my biggest health scare that I just had was such an eye opener to me. Like, but like even our meats being injected with different things that are not healthy to make the supply of demand for like something like chicken. There should be no reason why you go to Walmart and our wings are like this big. It's like they're on steroids. I will not buy that. I'm not eating it. Even at restaurants, they're starting to look like that. It's just not healthy and it's obvious. Even like a super shiny apple. If you pick it off a tree, it's not that shiny. But they're putting preservative and different spraying and with things to still look appealing, and we're eating that. So that's kind of where my learning's at, and me trying to understand what's happening and what I'm putting in my body. And Monet, I saw the number in the chat, but I don't know if it was something someone said. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I said it was more comments. Desiree said she's been eliminating red dye out of her son's diet. More so because he has G6PD and she never knows if it'll trigger him. Candace said facts, and Sherelle said she doesn't take her mat either. I think she's referring to taking her kids to the grocery store. And Colleen said she's seen a TikTok where they were saying all these brand foods do not have any added artificial colors. I wonder, I'll look into that. And it's Bailey said that they're marketing the kids so young.
Yeah, it gets younger and younger. And like Sammy said, when you think about it, you walk in, let's say Walmart, the snacks. You walk down the aisle where the shoes are, you might look to the left or the right, there might be a little thing of snacks like they're trying to sell in bulk. And they make sure before you check out, like, you sure you don't want these hot Cheetos, this Twinkie, this Reese cup, couple Pepsis and Mountain Dew. Like it's advertised it like to an extreme that is just outrageous to me. And again, I am not perfect. It was a build up to this point. I still till this day don't make all the world's most healthiest choices, but I'm definitely trying. And I'll keep trying till I'm just official with my decision making, because it's not just adopting someone's habit that you see on social media. You have to figure out what works for you and what works for your body. Everybody's so quick to jump on the bed. Well, so-and-so's doing this, celebrity's doing it. They say keto work. I'm gonna try, but keto might not work for you. It might not be healthy to lose weight by filling your body with fat. That's basically what keto is, you know. It might not work for you or be healthy. So you definitely have to pay attention to those things. And my kids, they get mad at me because like even like I'm not buying you regular Freezy Pops. I try to get the fruit pops, or I try to make them. And I suck a little bit at that, but I'm trying, I'm learning, and I like the bonding with that. Was there something else in the chat, Monet?
Yes. Denzel said he had to cut his daughter off hot chips and Cheetos and Tic Tacs and red dye.
Talkies. Oh, them Talkies are something serious. My kids are addicted to them. I will not buy them. I just feel like it's like pending a stomach ulcer. Like if you're like something just isn't like, it doesn't hurt. Like I can't do it, you know. And some takeaways, I definitely want you to take away from this. And I know we couldn't watch all the videos. I was trying to speed through this. Is learning to meal prep is a process. If it doesn't work the first time, try again. Enjoy mealtime with your family in a less stressful way. Don't give up just because you tried. This didn't work. It was stressful. Start slow, start small, maybe meal prep for only 2 days. That's 2 days you don't have to worry about standing over the stove. You know, then maybe try a third day, then a fourth day. Like do baby steps. Don't just jump into this. It's the same way with somebody trying to lose weight. Like it doesn't happen overnight. You have to prep yourself. And like they say, habit comes with consistency. So whatever you're consistent with, you're going to see a benefit of a positive habit and outcome to that. So that's my takeaway, something that I wanted to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed the PowerPoint. I low-key suck at presenting. I'm new to this.
Well, you did such a wonderful job, so you definitely don't suck. Does anyone have any more questions for Stephanie in regards to meal prepping? Any other comments that you guys want to share with other families on the call that you may know, or tips or tricks that you want to share?
Someone said talkies are fire. I mean, I guess.
I never personally had any. I don't like hot stuff, but I'll take y'all word for it. Natasha, did you have anything? I know you're off mute. I didn't want to. Anyone else want to come off mute and any comments questions? Well, happy Friday, everyone. So,